Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to another tutorial on Adobe After Effects CC. In this tutorial we're going to explore the use of the puppet tool inside After Effects. The puppet tool is located on the tools bar here, the end. When you click, this is the puppet position pin tool. Okay, we're going to start by adding the crab PSD file to our composition. I changed the color in Photoshop just to demonstrate a few things, as we will see in a few seconds. So what is the puppet tool? Basically, the puppet tool is a method that changes your raster drawings or images or even vector images into puppets or marionettes. Okay, so you can animate them like a normal character even though they are a static image. So we are going to do this, or the software is going to do this, by adding pins to the shape and to the image, and then converting the image into a mesh, and then we control the mesh using these pins. Now we have several types of pins. Some of them are there since a long time, and some of them are new since Adobe CC 2019. Okay, the number of pins that we have in After Effects CC 2020 is the position tool, bend tool, or the position pin to be more precise, and the bend pin, advanced pin, and then the starch and the overlap pins, and they are all located under the puppet position pin tool here. You see, you have position, bend, advanced, starch, and overlap. We're going to start with the first one. Okay, pin tool. Pin tool. We're going to put one here on the crab antenna, and you see we have the mesh directly created. If you don't see the mesh, you just need to check this option here. Okay, and basically the mesh is not very clear because the color of the mesh follows the color of the layer label here located next to the layer name. We are going to change it to something more obvious like red. Now when we click anywhere, you see you're going to select the move tool, and this is our puppet created. Okay, now the number of pins you will add is or will determine how much control you are going to get over your puppet. So now we have only 2 pins, so when I move them, almost all the puppet will move. So if you want to get more control, more flexibility animating your puppet, you need to add more pins. Okay, I'm going to show you as an example, then I will remove them because we need to demonstrate other pins. So I'm going to just put another pin here and one more here. I'm going to put pins on the edges. Okay, so we are not going to move the whole body when we move the antenna of the crab. So I'm going to move it right now. You see the movement now is much better. We don't really change anything else apart of the antennas themselves. So I'm gonna undo everything right now. I'm gonna press Z several times to undo everything. Now the position pin tool, as the name implies, is gonna be used to change the position of your puppet. What if you want to change something else like rotation and the scale? You can do this with the advanced puppet tool or the bend puppet tool. The advanced puppet or the advanced pin tool will enables you to move the position, rotation, and the scale, while the bend will support only rotation and the scale. And we are going to demonstrate this right now. So I'm going to go to the advanced pin tool. I'm going to click here into the crab pincer. Click. You see we have a ring around this small circle here with this small square. This square you can use it to drag outward or inward to scale up or down. Okay, while I'm going to control Z, while the ring you can click it to rotate your puppet. Okay, so this is the advanced tool. As you can see, I can also move, so we can move, rotate, or scale. I'm going to add the other type so you can see it. I'm going to add the puppet bend tool. I'm going to just put it, let's say here, or I'm going to just put it in the middle so you see the difference. When I click and try to move, it's not going to move because, as I said, it supports only rotation. You can use it to make the crab dancing or the scale. Okay, so basically this is the pen tool. So I'm gonna now add other position tools, or let's add advanced tools here over the crab legs. I'm gonna click here, and then I'm gonna click here, and then I'm gonna click here, and then I'm gonna click here. Now when you try to click here, you cannot because of the ring. You just click outside, and then you click again, and then click again, click, and click. Okay, now we can all move the legs independently, and you see this is a magical tool that can convert your static image into, let's say, a mesh or a character that can be animated. Okay, now before we jump to the animation, we need to know what's the benefit or what's the use of the starch pen tool and the overlap pen tool. Basically, the starch pen tool is used to stiffen or make some areas within your mesh harder to move, so they are not going to follow the movement like others. So I'm going to just put it that side and keep that side without it, so you know the difference. So I'm going to click to add points. The more points you add, the more stiffened or harder your mesh is going to be. Now one more here. Now when I go here, try to move, you see when I move, this body will be less affected than you move this side. You see, because this side is not stiffened while this side is stiffened. If you need more stiffening, you want to make it more harder, or in simple words, not affected greatly by the change you are doing to your puppet, you need to add more starch tools or starch pins. Okay, now what about the overlap? Basically, the overlap controls which part of your puppet is going to be above other parts, which one is going to be at the top, which one is going to be at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to just zoom in a little bit, and now when I move to that side, you see now the dark areas are over the small areas. I'm going to hide the mesh so we can see it better. What if you want the light areas to be above the dark area? This is where the overlap comes. So we click the overlap here, we keep the mesh at this case visible, so I'm gonna click here. You see it's turning to white areas, a different color, so all the shaded areas are gonna be on the top. You see, you can click. Now I will move, let me go to the move tool, and then we move it over. You see, it's gonna be behind it because this is the area of overlap that we defined. Now we press Ctrl Z, but when you move it there, you see only the points that, or only the mesh areas that we applied the overlap tool is going to be overlapped. Otherwise it's going to, or After Effects, we're going to use the default behavior. Okay, now what about when let me just zoom out a little bit now. Let's go to the mesh one more time. I will go to the pin position tool here. When we show the mesh, you see there are two options, which are the expansion and density. So basically, expansion controls how much your mesh is going to expand outside the outline of the layer. This is very useful if you want them to include, or to include the stroke of your shape. So if the expansion is 0, you see they're going to fit to the outline of the layer, but you can increase this to 3, to even, when you get this, you just press caps lock. Okay, refresh, caps lock, Control Z. Okay, you see I'm gonna just change the expansion to 3, and you see now it's gonna expand. You can expand it even more if you want, not 18 too much, 5, it's gonna expand more. You can go negative values if you want, -3, it's gonna expand inward if you want it to be less than the outlines, but usually we don't do this. It's gonna be either 0 or more. Now the density is how many triangles you have into your mesh. So by default it's not 12, I just make it 12 before, so it remembers what I did last time. So it could be 5 or any value. So you see the number of triangles are reduced. When you make it to 12, which is the maximum possible value here, it's going to be more. So basically, more triangles makes smoother animation, but remember also this is going to make slower rendering, okay, or longer rendering time. So if you have a very good PC with high performance, this is not going to be an issue for you, but always remember, if you don't need that much of triangles to control your mesh, don't make it. Okay, don't increase the number. Now what else you need to know? How to animate. Basically, if you noticed, when we created the pins of any type, directly Adobe After Effects added a keyframe exactly at the position of your playhead. So remember very well where your playhead is located before you add the pins, because this is going to be the original or the reference for your animation. So now to animate anything, you just need to go over time, and then I'm going to just move this that way, I'm going to move this that way, and then after that you can even more move a little bit more, and then this time I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to rotate it. Okay, so when you go back and you play, you're going to see your animation. Of course, this is not going to be an easy process if you have many pins here. You see, we have so far how many pins? Let us just close or collapse and then open it one more time. We have 22 pins. So animating them manually, it's going to be a tedious process, and sometimes it's time consuming. Luckily there is another way to record the animation, much easier than doing that. I'm gonna just undo. You see, these are the two keyframes that I created. Basically what I'm gonna do right now is, before selecting the pin to animate, I will press and hold Control, and you're gonna see directly there is a clock near the mouse pointer, and now when you animate, you're gonna notice that the timeline will play and will record your animation. So I'm gonna just keep holding Control, and then I'm gonna just rotate this. It is gonna, as you see, it's gonna apply to the rotation, to the position only, not to the rotation, because the recording is gonna be only to the movement. So I'm gonna click Control again. So this is the animation. I can go back again and then go back like this. It's just like saying hello. Okay, 5 seconds. Now when you play, you see the crab is moving. Okay, now can you control the speed of the recording? Yes, you can control the speed of the recording by going to the record options here in the tools panel, but you remember you have to do it before you start recording. So when you click this, you have these options. This by default is 100%, and this is by default is 10%, and basically the speed is a ratio that's going to control the speed of your recording. When you increase the speed number here, the recording will play slower than the normal recorded time. Okay, so it's going to play slower. So increasing the speed is going to make the recording to be slower, and this is the smoothness 10. It is going to remove the extraneous or the extra frames that you don't need, basically, to make your animation smoother, because less keyframes is going to make animation smoother. Let's try to make this 50, for example, here, and I'm gonna just press U here just to display the keyframes that I have. Okay, I'm gonna delete them all, and then I'm gonna go to the record options, make sure that this is 100 and this smoothness is 100, and now I'm gonna do the same thing. Sorry, not Alt, Control, and then we move and we move and we move and we move and we move. You see the number of keyframes much less than before. Okay, when you play, you're gonna get a different speed and less keyframes because we changed these options here. Okay, it was 200, now it's 100. Anyway, if you change them after you do the recording, this is not gonna affect the recording already done. It's gonna affect the next recording that you will do. Feel free to practice with this tool. It's a very nice tool, interesting tool, can save you a lot of time doing animations. And if you want to extra control over your characters or vectors in general, you can try out the Adobe Character Animator application, which gives you even greater control over your characters. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in next tutorials, inshallah. Have a nice day.